Shalom, shalom. We nations of kings and priests, right? And we out here at the Kissimmee, Orlando lakefront, right? Kissimmee Park, Kissimmee lakefront, right? So we come out here week in, week out. We out here all the time, bringing out the Bible, right? We run into a lot of Christians, Muslims, Jehovah's Witnesses, out here at the park. And some people don't validate the Apocrypha as being scripture, right? They listen to the so-called white man that took it out of Methodist Church or Martin Luther, right? Or the Council of Nicaea, they took the Protestant Church or the Council of Nicaea, they took it out of the Bible, right? So somebody look that up real quick before we get started. Why was the Apocrypha took it out? Let's start right there. Because every Christian that come out here, they just parakeet what they hear their pastor say or somebody else say. They don't really do their due diligence, they research. They listen to master. Right, so let's look that up. I want to talk about the Apocrypha before we get this camp started. Go on to Greek. Give me 1 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. 1 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. 1 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6.
Also, so you have the Apocrypha book. That's what you call it? I said that before.
Why you don't? Because somebody told you to don't do it.
I don't accept it. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. Because the Jews in the first century never accepted it.
We won't even go there. We won't even go there. You ever read the Greek Septuagint? What's the Greek Septuagint?
I don't have to know Greek.
What is the Greek Septuagint?
First century.
Right?
No, it's not.
Okay. We ain't gonna argue, but go ahead. I ain't gonna, because you argue, you're gonna run off. But let's read what Greek are. You are the Greek in there.
I haven't ran off.
In Galatians.
I just know for a fact. It's a fact. It's not disputed. No mystery in dispute that no Jew in the first century ever accepted.
Who they are.
Do you know who Jerome is? 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 Who? Jerome, 4th century. He went to Israel to learn Hebrew. So instead of translating from the Septuagint, he actually translated from the Hebrew. Figured out the Apocrypha books never received by the priests. It's not.
Why wasn't received by the priests? Give me Luke. Give me Luke chapter. Hold on. We're gonna go to Luke. Let's go to Luke. I knew he was gonna run off. When it started getting hot, they run off. Man. That's what happened. When it get hot, they go by what man tell them. Give me Luke chapter 10. All right, go ahead.
All right, so according to Google, Jerome is the second most voluminous writer after Augustine of Hippo between 354 and 430 AD in ancient Latin Christianity.
Who?
In ancient Latin Christianity.
Latin Christianity, man. You going off already. Go ahead.
The Catholic Church recognizes him as the patron saint of translators.
You see that? The Catholic Church recognized him, not the Hebrew Israelites. And when he said the Jews rejected the Apocrypha, he's talking about them Ashkenazi Jews, the fake Jews.
That's right.
Us, the real Jews.
Librarians and encyclopedists. Jerome translated many biblical texts from Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek into Latin.
Right. So we don't want to hear what you got to say, brother. Get out of here. You ran off, like the book say. The wicked flee when no man pursues.
That's right.
Pursue you. And I already knew you were going to run. That's why I told you don't go nowhere, because I already know. He's like, we going to argue. No, we ain't going to argue, brother. Let's have a dialogue. But don't run off. And we ran off.
The Apocrypha is a selection of books which were published in the original 1611 King James Bible. These apocryphal books were positioned between the Old and New Testament. It also contains maps and genealogies. The Apocrypha was a part of the KJV for 274 years until being removed in 1885 AD. A portion of these books were called deuterocanonical books by some entities such as the Catholic Church. Many claim the Apocrypha should never have been included in the first place, raising doubt about its validity and believing it was not God-inspired. For instance, a reference about magic seems inconsistent with the rest of the Bible. Tobit chapter 6 verses 5 through 8, other believes it is valid and that it should never have been removed, that it was considered part of the Bible for nearly 2,000 years, considered part of the Bible for nearly 2,000 years, considered part of the Bible for nearly 2,000 years before it was recently removed a little more than 100 years ago. Some say it was removed because of not finding the books in the original Hebrew manuscripts. Others claim it wasn't removed by the church, but by printers to cut costs in distributing Bibles in the United States. Both sides tend to cite the same verses that warn against adding or subtracting from the Bible. Right. Revelation 22:18. The word apocrypha means hidden. Fragments of Dead Sea Scrolls dating back to before 70 AD contain parts of the apocrypha books in Hebrew, including Sirach and Tobit. Keep this in mind when reading the following apocryphal books. Martin Luther said apocrypha, that is, books which are not regarded as equal to the Holy Scriptures and yet are profitable and good to read.
Right. Said not profitable, but they just good to read. So, like we bringing out about the apocrypha, that it said that these books were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They found in the Greek Septuagint. You know, so you can find these things in some of our oldest manuscripts. Somehow these men, these Edomite men, come down and say these don't have no validity or no reference or quotes in the Bible, right? So we're going to go to the Compact Bible Dictionary. We're going to look up Bible. It's like the brother was bringing out, 1611 King James Version Bible is one of the Bibles that the Apocrypha is in. We got a couple different versions up here that we're going to bring out. Show that the Apocrypha is in there. Go ahead. And I have two pieces. Go ahead, read that.
All right, so this is in the Compact Bible Dictionary, Zondervan version. And when you look up the definition of Bible, it shows different definitions of different versions of the Bible. And under the King James Version, it says, when Elizabeth died in 1603, the crown passed to James I, who had been King of Scotland for 37 years as James VI. Several months after he ascended the throne of England, he authorized a new translation of the Bible to replace the Bishop's Bible.
Right, so he authorized it. He didn't write it, because we got people come up here and say King James wrote the Bible or Shakespeare wrote the Bible. He authorized it. Go ahead.
47 of the best Hebrew and Greek scholars of the day were divided into 6 groups. Three for the Old Testament.
Right. 3 for the Old Testament. 3 different groups. Go ahead.
2 for the New.
2 different groups for the New. Go ahead.
And 1 for the Apocrypha.
1 for the Apocrypha. 1 group translated the Apocrypha in Hebrew into English. Right. Go ahead.
2 of the groups met at Oxford, 2 at Cambridge, and 2 at Westminster. When a group had completed its task, its work was submitted to 12 men, 2 from each panel. Final differences of opinion were settled at a general meeting of each company. In cases of special difficulty, learned men outside the Board of Revisers were consulted. Marginal notes were used only to explain Hebrew and Greek words to draw attention to parallel passages. Italics were used for words not found in the original, but necessary to complete the sense. The revisers, who received no financial remuneration for their work, completed their task in 2 years, and 9 more months were devoted to a revision of their work by a special committee consisting of 2 members from each group. In 1611, the new version was published. It did not win immediate universal acceptance, taking almost 50 years to displace the Geneva Bible in popular favor. In the course of time, slight alterations were made, especially in spelling, to conform to changing usage, but these were all done piecemeal by a private enterprise. Its excellence is shown by the fact that after 350 years, it is still used in presence to any other version in the English-speaking Protestant world for both public and private use.
So King James commissioned the Bible to be translated, right? from Hebrew and Greek, right, into English. So read that Isaiah 28 and 11 real quick.
Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 11.
Uh-huh.
For with stammering lips
Uh-huh.
and another tongue
Uh-huh.
will he speak to this people.
Right, so the book had to be translated because when we went into slavery, we learned a whole different language here in America. Right, we speak the English language was given to us by our oppressor. So the Most High, he had to put the spirit on men to translate it so this day we can break these scriptures down.
Done.
Right? Read that again.
Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 11. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
Right, he got to speak to his people no matter where they at on the four corners of the earth. Right, go ahead.
To whom he said, This is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing. Yet they will not hear.
Right, now people still will not hear. Right? They still don't want to hear. You got a precept? Go ahead, brother. Bring it out.
Khan, Shalakia, I don't want to change the subject, but when the brother read the history about the Apocrypha and why the Protestants reject the Apocrypha, they stated was because the Apocrypha promotes good works for salvation, and they claimed that it contradicts the Bible. Protestants, you don't know your Bible. I'm going to read it straight out the King James, right? We're going to go to James, the brother of Christ, what he says in chapter 2, verse, let me see here. We're going to go to 17 and 18. Even so faith, if it have not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Let's go even further to show you that Protestants know zero about the Bible. Right? We're going to go to Revelation chapter 22, and we're going to go to verse 12. Red letter, Christ is speaking here, the very last book of the Bible. It says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. His works. What are you Protestants talking about? Any fool who follows this anti-apocrypha situation, that even if they're not from the Protestant church, you're following Protestant teachings. They did this because Martin Luther's students hated the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church promoted the Apocrypha, and they wanted to remove it, thinking they're hurting the church. All they did was hurt you guys who don't know nothing about the Bible.
That's right.
Right. So we're going to get a couple scriptures. But anyway, hold up that your King James 16:11.
Oh, I don't. You got 1611. The Apocrypha is right here in the 1611 where it belongs before they removed it.
Right. We're going to show a couple Bibles that got the Apocrypha in it. So we got the 1611. You got to hold that one up. That's the Apocrypha in there. We got the Good News translation with the Apocrypha in it. Right. We got the New Revised Standard Version Bible with the Apocrypha in it. Right.
I just want to show that it says Authorized King James Version. This was in there originally.
Right, then you got the updated Bible, King James Version, included with the Apocrypha in it too. Right? So we got some Bibles that do have the Apocrypha in it. Right? But we got a lot of Christian buddies, right? They reject the Apocrypha. So we're going to show, but they say Christ never quoted the Apocrypha. None of the quotes, the Bible don't go hand in hand with the Apocrypha, right? So I'm going to just give a couple scriptures out that's going to show you why they removed it, right? So let's go to Maccabees real quick, 3 and 48. This is one of the reasons why they took it out too. And they didn't want you to know the image of Christ. They didn't want you to know that they took the image of Christ and put their own picture up in there. That's one of the reasons why they took it out. Right? And we're going to see that some of these things that's in the Apocrypha, they go hand in hand with their Bible. So read that, First Maccabees 3:48. Yep.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 48. And laid open the book of the law.
They opened up the Bible, right? Go ahead.
Wherein the heathen
had so-called white man, go ahead,
had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
Right, they want to put their images in the Bible. The angels are white, Christ is white, Moses is white. Every movie you go through to the theaters to see a movie, all the people in the Bible is white. But we see that Jerusalem is East Africa.
That's right.
The region over there in East Africa, right, is people with melanin, with color, right? Christ even predict himself as a so-called black man, right? His feet is like burnt brass if they were burnt in a furnace, right? So let's get a couple scriptures that show, you know, that the Apocrypha go hand in hand. So let me get, you get the Apocrypha and then you get the scripture out of the Bible. Give me, second address, 654. You give me Isaiah chapter 40, verse 15. Let's see if they go hand in hand. If they saying the same thing or they saying something different, right? Go ahead and read yours first.
Second Address chapter 6 and verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord over all the creation, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen.
Right.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
You going.
As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing.
They what?
That they are nothing.
So they say that's one of the reasons why they took it out of the Apocrypha, because it say the other nations unto the Lord are nothing. So let's read that in Isaiah. Let's see if they're going hand in hand, saying these other nations are as nothing. Read that.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 40 and verse 15. Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing, and Lebanon is not sufficient to burn,
Right.
nor the beast thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before him
They say all nations. This one say all nations too. Go ahead.
are as nothing.
What?
Are as nothing.
This, and the Apocrypha saying the same thing. All nations before the Lord is nothing. So they going hand in hand. Right, so we're gonna get a couple more scriptures to see if they going hand in hand. Get Baruch 2 and 30. You get 1 Kings 8 and 46. It's saying the same exact thing. So if the Apocrypha is off, that means your Holy Bible is off. Because you saying there's no quotes that agrees with the Bible, or Christ never quoted nothing out of the Apocrypha. And we're going to find you quotes that Christ quoted out of the Apocrypha. So read the Apocrypha first.
Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivity,
In the land of their captivity, go ahead.
they shall remember
They
themselves.
shall what?
They shall remember themselves,
Go ahead.
and shall know that I am the Lord their God. For I will give them a heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity.
In the land of their captivity. So read what you got. Said they shall remember themselves. Let's see if it's saying the same thing in Kings. Go ahead.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, verse 46.
Read verse 47.
Verse 47. Yet, if they shall bethink themselves.
They remember themselves, just like Baruch just said. If they shall remember themselves, go ahead.
In the land, whether they were carried captives.
Saying the same thing in Baruch. They shall remember themselves when they was carried captive. Right? Go ahead.
And repent.
And repent. Right? So they going hand in hand as we see.
That's right.
Scriptures are going hand in hand. So give me Matthew chapter 23. Read verse, I think 37. Give me 2nd Esdras chapter 1, verse 30. Let's see if these scriptures going hand in hand or they going off. Because we're going to see if Christ quoted something out of the Apocrypha. So if Christ makes one quote out of the Apocrypha, right, where did he get it from? Did he just make it up? Because the Apocrypha, you got to remember, was written 400 years before Christ came on the scene. And we're going to show you that the Apocrypha was there 400 years before Christ came on the scene. So go ahead and read that in Matthew real quick.
Matthew chapter 23 and verse 37. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that thou killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered the children together,
How often would I gather the children together? Go ahead.
even as a hen gather her chickenlets,
As a hen do what?
gather her chickens
So as a hen gather her chickens, go ahead.
under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left until you're desolate.
Your house was left to your desolate. Start at 29.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 1 and verse 29. That ye would be my people, and I should be your God. That ye would be my children, and I should be your father.
Ye should be my children, and I should be your father. Go ahead.
I gathered you together
He gathered you together like what?
as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings.
Hold on. I thought Christ didn't quote the Apocrypha. Bring it out. He just quoted it in Matthew chapter 23. And this was written 400 years before Christ came on the scene. But we got these Christians think they know every damn thing, right? Because they listen to so-called pastors, or they Google something up on the internet. They don't do their own due diligence and do their own research and their own study. Right? So we see right there Christ saying the same quote. Go ahead, keep reading.
But now, what shall I do unto you? I will cast you out from my face.
Right, he's saying the same thing in the Apocrypha. Right, gather you like hens, right? Give me 2nd Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 28. Because like I was saying, that the Apocrypha was on the scene 400 years before Christ. And it prophesied that it was. Right? Whoever got it, go ahead and read it. 2nd Esdras 7:28.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 28. For my son Jesus.
For my son who?
My son Jesus.
My son Jesus. So Jesus is in the Bible. He's in the Apocrypha. Right? Jesus not in the Apocrypha. Jesus never quoted the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is not expired. Go ahead.
Shall be revealed with those that be with him.
Right, he's going to be revealed. Right, go ahead.
And they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years.
Within what?
400
The
years.
Apocrypha was written 400 years before Christ came on the scene. Right, go ahead.
After these years shall my son Christ die.
You should what?
After these years shall my son Christ die.
So the Apocrypha quoted that Christ was going to die. So I don't know who y'all Christians listening to, but y'all better do y'all homework.
That's right.
Do your homework. Hey, give me John chapter 10, verse 22. Right? And give me that in 1 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 59. Right? Because if it's going off, right? If the Apocrypha going off, why we can find only Hanukkah, right? Or Kaslu only in the Apocrypha. You can't even find it in the Holy Bible. It's not in there. But we can find that Christ kept it, right? Go ahead and read that.
John chapter 10 and verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem.
And it was at Jerusalem. This is talking about the Feast of Dedication, right? Go ahead.
The Feast of Dedication.
Feast of what?
The Feast of Dedication.
Feast of Dedication is Hanukkah, right? Go ahead.
And it was winter.
And it was winter, right? Go ahead.
And Jesus walked in the temple.
Right, and Jesus walked in there. He walked in the temple to keep the Hanukkah feast. But where is it at in the Bible? Because you're missing the whole Greek captivity out of the Bible, man. So let's read that in Maccabees real quick.
This is the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 59. Moreover, Judas and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel,
The whole congregation of Israel, what Christ was celebrating. Go ahead.
ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season.
Shall be kept, and that's what Christ did. He kept it in his season.
That's right.
So if the Bible's saying Christ kept the Feast of Dedication, and the Apocrypha showing you the Feast of Dedication, so what is you Christians talking about, right? Go ahead.
From year to year.
You got to keep it when?
From year to year.
No, it's over with.
From year to year.
That's why they took it out. So you can break the commandments of the Most High. So you don't have to keep these feast days. Go ahead.
By the space of 8 days.
Right, it's 8 day long feast. Go ahead.
From the 25th day of the month of Caslu,
Like from the 5th to 20th day, right? Go ahead.
with mirth and
With
gladness.
mirth and what?
And
But
gladness.
that's what Christ kept. He kept it with mirth and gladness, right? Anybody else got any precepts or something? So we just went into a couple scriptures to show you that the Apocrypha, right, is in the Bible.
That's
Christ
right.
quoted the Apocrypha. There's things in the Apocrypha that you so-called Christians, y'all just mimic or parakeet what y'all hear the so-called pastors, right, teachers, or y'all look some up on the internet. Y'all don't do your own damn research, right? So the brother gonna bring out a precept and we're gonna read it.
I just want to slam all you Christians one more time who talk about faith without works. Because we already showed 2 precepts where Christ and his brother James said that faith without works is dead. And in Revelation, Christ says that he is going to reward those with faith and works, right?
That's right.
But let's add one more. We're going to go to Matthew 25, and we're going to start at verse 32. All red letter, all Yahushua, who you call Jesus Christ. Listen to what he says, because this is claiming works save people. Watch this. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him and say, Lord, when saw we thee hunger and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick or in prison and came unto thee? That's what they're asking him. Listen to what his answer is. Verse 40, red letter. And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Then shall he say unto them on the left, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. And naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick, and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they answer him and say, Lord, when saw we thee in hungered, or thirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, and in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did not, as much as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me, and shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. You Christians are done. You're done with your faith and no works. You're done.
You got one?
Yeah, I wanted to add to what he was bringing out about the faith and the works.
This is the book of James, chapter 2, and verse 21. Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was faith made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. Ye see then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only.
That's right.
Wrong.